You're an elite athlete and you reckon you can win Olympic gold. But to do it, you're going to have to devote yourself to your sport full time. But where's the money to support you going to come from? Easy. You turn yourself into a business, become a brand in your own right and market yourself to sponsors. Well, maybe not so easy, but that's what beach volleyballer Kerri Pottharst did, together with her teammate Natalie Cook. Along the way, Kerri learned a lot about business. She now passes it on to business people and athletes alike. Bob Kersley asked her to draw out the parallels between her two worlds.
Elite sport is a really powerful metaphor, I believe, for business, and there are so many parallels. We could talk about them all day, but, the obvious ones are things like setting goals. You have to make your sales goals in business. In sport, you have your result goals. There's strategy. We have to strategize in sport with our game plans. You have to strategize in business. And the big one also is competition. You're competing against everyone else out there in business as we are in sport. So, there are a bunch more, not to mention the hard work, perseverance, teamwork, all those sorts of things that come along and, the parallels just go on and on and on.
Now, becoming a beach volleyballer in 1993 after a successful career indoors was a turning point for you, wasn't it, in more ways than one? You decided you had to go full-time. Why was that?
Well, I stopped playing indoor volleyball due to a serious knee injury in 1992, and about a year later I was trying to rehab, get back to indoor, and I decided that beach volleyball might be a much softer surface and give me a prolonged career in volleyball itself. So I started to play beach volleyball. And then I realised that we had a real great potential to make the Olympics in beach volleyball. And I thought the only way I could do this is to become full-time. So, that potential to go to the Olympics is what drove me to go full-time into my sport. And then I had to find ways to generate income. And that's where I started to learn a lot of business skills.
Yes, you saw yourself not just as an athlete. To achieve your goals, you had to become a business as well. So how did you set about that?
Well, because we wanted to go full-time, I knew I had to generate a fair amount of income to keep myself, on the road overseas. We would travel probably for up to 6 months of the year away from Australia, so that got very expensive. So what we did, we really started to learn how to market ourselves. That was the big one. We learned how to generate PR and get out there and meet people, network, and of course try to accumulate as much sponsorship and dollars from, the corporate world as well as other supporting networks to help us stay out there on the road. Because at the end of the day, if an athlete wants to compete these days at the highest level, they need to be full-time. And, you start off part-time, you train before work and after work and on weekends, but at the end of the day, you need to be a full-time athlete. So you need that money behind you. And we learnt so many business skills along the way to try and get that sponsorship.
So your sport inspired the business and the business financed the sport. Was that how it worked?
Exactly, and that's why I wrote my book, The Business of Being an Athlete. I believe that all athletes really need to know that these days that's how it's going to go. You really need to learn those business skills. You need to learn how to get out there and network with businesses and business people. You need to know how to treat yourself like a brand and get PR, get in the local paper, then get in the mainstream papers, get on the radio, get on the TV, do whatever you can to get some PR so people see who you are, and then you can, have the opportunity to start to develop some sponsorship streams to get the money to get out there and stay as a full-time athlete.
Now, you mentioned marketing, which is obviously important. What were the key elements you hit on there?
Well, for Natalie Cook and I, when we first started marketing ourselves, we realised that relationship building was a big part of it. We tried the cold calling, we tried sending out proposals, but none of that really worked as well as building relationships. And I mentioned networking as well, getting out there, going to functions, just meeting people, leaving them with a business card, leaving them with an impression of who we were and what we were trying to achieve. And then when we did secure those sponsorships, we over-delivered on the promises. We gave them more than we said we would, whether it was branding on our uniforms, which was, for us in the beginning, the only thing we thought we could offer. But then we realised we could offer so much more in getting the sponsors on board with our journey and just being unique, I think. And that's where businesses need to step out, because there's so much competition these days. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to be unique and offer unique experiences or unique services or products to just stand out above your competition.
You divide your book, The Business of Being an Athlete, into 3 broad sections, which could probably apply to all areas of human activity. What are they and why are they important?
Well, I divide my book into 3 sections, and the first one is passion, because I believe a key to success is, number one, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. You really have to love it so you can get out of bed each morning and enjoy going to work or going to training, in our case, going and playing or training in the gym or on the sand or out on the field in your sport. The second one is preparation, and that's all the hard work. That's all the learning, whether it's in business, the learning on how to get your business on the web, on the internet. Get out there and learn how to develop your website and use social media, which I'm teaching athletes to do now, because that is exactly what we need to do to brand ourselves. For athletes, the preparation is all the training as well, and getting in the gym and doing all the work out of your sport that adds to it. And it might be learning how to believe in your journey. There's a whole lot of things off the field that athletes and sports people need to do. It's not just working 9 to 5. It's all the extra stuff that we need to learn, the stuff that our competition might already know that we have to catch up with, or the things that our competition aren't doing that we need to learn. And then the third section, as I just said, is belief, because at the end of the day, if we don't believe in ourselves, whether we're in business or whether we're on the sporting field, it's going to be really difficult to get there. It might be a fluke for us to reach the top, but at the end of the day, if you go into a gold medal match without believing that you can win it, your chances are pretty much zero, because I can tell you, if your competitors on the other side of the net, or if your competitors out there in the business world, if they believe in themselves more than you do, they're going to get the clients, they're going to get the dollars, and in our case, they were going to get the gold medal. But for Natalie and I, belief was the big thing that got us across the line at the Sydney 2000 Olympics. We lay awake the night before the Olympic final, and we were both lying there thinking that the other one was in our hotel room sleeping, but we were both actually lying there practicing our victory speech. We had such belief in ourselves that we're going to win that day. And you've got to ask yourself, in business, do you really believe that you can achieve your goals? And if you don't, then you need to start doing more so you can develop the confidence to be able to believe that.
Kerri Pottharst, Olympic gold medalist and author. We'll hear more from Kerri in next month's program, and you can find details of her book at thebusinessofbeinganathlete.com.